Hi, my name is Barbara Faulkner, and I'm an instructional design and training consultant and independent contractor. My background is in American and international education, as well as nonprofit training, management, executive director, all sorts of things in the nonprofit world. But it's always involved training in one form or another. In 2014, I left all of that behind and I began my independent contractor business. And that's what I've been doing ever since, for the most part, is creating and presenting trainings for small and large organizations. I occasionally create trainings for others as well. Within that instructor-led training, I was a whiz at PowerPoint and even Zoom before Zoom became popular. But as you know, a couple years ago, Zoom became very popular and all of our instructor-led training became virtual, or most of it. So throughout that process, I realized that I was really lacking in e-learning development. So in January of this year, I signed up for Idle Courses Academy, Cohort 9, and my mind was blown away. I learned so much about so many things in just 8 weeks. It was incredible. And one of those things that I learned about was Camtasia. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Camtasia is a video editing software. And let me tell you that I knew nothing about Camtasia 4 months ago. Never heard of it. Nothing. So I am by no means an expert, but I think that's okay because I can tell you what it's like kind of from an outsider's perspective. Is it easy? Is it difficult? That kind of thing. So we're going to talk about that. So Camtasia is, like I said, a video editing software, and it is put out by TechSmith. You can find them at techsmith.com. It is something that you need to download to your computer. So it's not web-based. It's not in the cloud. You actually need to run it off your computer. You can find the specs on techsmith.com as to what you need. They do have a 30-day free trial, and I highly recommend that so that you can experience the program. It's a fully functional trial. You can do everything. The only thing is that when you go to export, there's a big watermark that says TechSmith right in the middle of your video. So you're not going to want to sell it or do anything like that with it. That 30-day trial will let you try everything. After that, I believe it runs about $300 a year and then maybe $50 every year thereafter. If you're a teacher or a student, you can get an academic discount. And I saw recently that right now they're offering a 25% discount across the board for everybody. So if you're interested in it, now might be a good time to purchase it. And I don't work for TechSmith or Camtasia or anything. I just like the program. So we're going to take a look at the actual program now. All right. So this is Camtasia here. This is the basic window. And basically you can bring in pretty much anything. You can bring in video. You can bring in, still images that you have, whether they're photographs or whether they're something you created in Canva or whatever. You can bring anything in. You can bring in music. You can record audio and bring it in. You can edit audio somewhere and bring it in. You can bring in lots of things. And to bring it in, it's so easy. All you have to do, I've got another screen open over here, and I'm literally just grabbing it, and you can see my cursor. I'm dragging it and dropping it. And there we go. I just dropped in something, and if I play it, I have a beautiful waterfall playing. So I'm going to shrink this down just a tiny bit. I'm going to grab this and bring it in. How about that? Nope. Yep, there we go. All right, so this is just a picture of an office, and it's a still picture. So you can see as my video is playing along, I've got my waterfall, and then boom, I'm going over to my office. If I want a nice transition in there, there are loads of transitions that you can choose from. So again, everything is just drag and drop. So I'm going to, let's do this bar wipe. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to bring it down here and I'm going to drop it right there. And I can see that it worked because I have these green little bars right there. So now as I play, I have a nice transition between the two of them. So there's transitions. If you want music, if you can bring in your own music, like I said, but Camtasia actually has a library of music here that you can bring in. Again, drag and drop. That's all you got to do. So I'm dragging it and dropping it right there. So now as I play it, I have some lovely music. And any of these items that you bring in, so this audio, let's work on the transition. I can look at the properties over here and I can modify it greatly however I want to. Let's say I want to put some text here. I have annotations. I'm going to just let's drop in this. I'm going to drag it right here and I'm going to say, look here. I've got that, and then I can move it wherever I want it. I'm going to bump it this way a little bit. And then, here we go. Okay. I can do all sorts of things. I could make that flash. I could make that zoom in. I could make it fade out. I can change the color. I can change the font. We already talked about the transitions between slides. I can do that easily. Behaviors, I can make the text jump in, all sorts of things. I can animate things. Let's say I'm here on this waterfall and I decide that I want to zoom in on the pond here. So I can do this animation and it's very easy. I just drag, as we've been saying the whole time, I just drag this to where I want it. And the bright parts are what you're actually going to see. The darker parts, they will not show up in your video. So now let me make this a little bit longer. So now if I play, you'll watch it zoom. Okay, so there's that. Cursor effects, if you do screen recording, this is great for screen recording because there are so many things you can do. It notes where your cursor is. You can have a highlighted cursor. You can magnify around your cursor. You can have a spotlight on your cursor. And again, all of these things you can edit over here in the properties section. Voice narration, if you want to type in what you're going to say, you can do that over here and then read it as you're recording. And then once you have that in there, then it's very easy to create captions, subtitles for it. So that's a great feature right here. You can edit the audio. You can remove that noise that we hear. You can emphasize certain audio or de-emphasize it. You can fade it in. There are lots of visual effects that you can do. There are just so many things. I'm going to play you a quick little clip here of my very first video that I created in Camtasia. So, cut me a little slack on it, but I'm going to show you something real quick. So all of that right there was just a canned intro from Camtasia. All I did was change the text. So again, super easy to use. And then I'm going to show you here, again, this is a video, or this is a screen recording that I did. And I want you to see that once I brought it over into Camtasia, I was able to zoom in, I was able to zoom out. You'll see some underlining. I was able to do that. So let's watch that.
In any browser window, enter pixabay.com. You can pull images from anywhere, but I like Pixabay because I know all of the images I find there are royalty-free.
Later on in the video, I'm highlighting boxes, I'm bringing in text, and there's one other feature I want to show you right about here. You can also pixelate things. So what you're going to see in this video is me, and I didn't want to see me. I wanted them to watch what I was doing. So let's play that.
On the far right, select.
So you can see this whole middle section here, or off to the one side is all pixelated. And again, I could make those pixels bigger. I could make them smaller, whatever I want to do in the properties section. And then, anyways, I just didn't want them to focus on me. I wanted them to focus on what I was doing. So, all of that was so easy to use. And I did all of this within the first, I don't know, day or two of, learning Camtasia. So super easy. I also want to show you the export feature. There are quite a few ways that you can export it. We've got all of these things over here: YouTube, Vimeo, Google Drive. I usually just do it to the local drive, so I'm going to click on local file just so you can see. Oopsie, I didn't want to do that. This. So here are the different formats that you can export to. And then if you click next here, there are lots of other options that you can select, like adding your closed captioning, open captioning, you as the author. There's so many things that you can do. All right, so let's see. What do I like about Camtasia? First and foremost, I love that it's easy to use. It is so easy to use. Basically, you just look over here. What do I want to do? Oh, I want to do a transition. And again, what do I do with that transition? Drag and drop it. Super easy. That's the biggest thing. The other thing that I like about it is that closed captioning feature. It's very easy to add subtitles to it. Super easy. And then TechSmith actually offers training that is really wonderful. This 5-day challenge you can access with your free trial. It says it's 5 days, but I completed it the very first day, like in the first hour or two. It gives you a really basic rundown of how to use Camtasia, and they give you lots of tips and tricks to make it easier. And then if you actually purchase Camtasia, then you can go into more extensive training. So their training is really good. What don't I like about Camtasia, or what are some things that it could do better? The biggest thing that I think it could do better is the audio effects. The audio editing is pretty limited. When I first was using it, I just went with whatever it could do. Now that I've used it a lot more, I actually do most of my audio editing in another program and bring it back into Camtasia, because I find that Camtasia audio editing is just not that strong. The other thing is your computer power. I mentioned that at the beginning. You do need to check if your computer will run it. When I first started using Camtasia, I was using an older computer. And, sorry, I didn't mention this record button up here. So you can record your screen, you can record your webcam, you can record your audio, and then you can record the sounds that your system makes. And when I first started using Camtasia, I could not do more than one recording. So I could only record my audio, or I could only record my webcam. I could not record everything. My computer just wasn't powerful enough to do that. So I have a different computer now, and it runs without any problems at all. The other thing isn't necessarily a drawback. But it can be a little bit overwhelming at the beginning. There are so many things that Camtasia can do, and the creators have tried to be really user-friendly, and so they've incorporated a lot of shortcuts. So for example, if you're here on the timeline, let's say I'm way down here on the timeline, and I want to go back to the beginning, I can just hit Control Home, and it takes me straight back to the beginning. So almost everything you can do has shortcuts to it. So much so that I had to create a cheat sheet, a two-sided cheat sheet for all the shortcuts. Now that I've used it, I've learned a lot of those shortcuts, and I don't need that cheat sheet so much anymore. But at the beginning, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to learn all of these shortcuts. So I don't know that it's a drawback, but it can be overwhelming at the beginning. So that's Camtasia in a short overview. Ultimately, my bottom line is I love it. I think it's a very easy, very intuitive program for video editing, and I've made lots of videos with it now, and I just really like it. So I highly recommend you give that 30-day free trial a try. Thank you so much. I hope you learned something. See you next time.